A few videos back, we made this pineapple twist out of a piece of 3/4 inch square bar. I promised I was going to do something else to it, turn it into a fireplace poker. So today, let's head over to the forge, let's get this hot again, and let's turn it into a nice fireplace poker. I'm going to use a fullering jig here. You could use a smithing magician or guillotine style tool with the right die. So this has a nice thin fuller. I'm just going to put a neck right at the very top of the pineapple twist. I'm going to round that up. You probably want that about a 1/2 inch round there. Something about like that. I think it can round up just a little bit more. And it can be a little smoother. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. I'll put a link to this tool right up here in this corner. That looks much better. Next thing I want to do is I want to flatten this out. I'm going to make a big round out of it, and then I'm going to put a ring on there. That makes fairly quick work of doing that. Now we're going to try and punch this. One problem at this point is that this is a little offset. So it'd be nice to have a helper to help hold things, but we will persist or persevere. But if you put the pineapple twist up on the anvil, you're going to be forcing your ring here between twist. You'll be forcing your ring here down and offsetting it back and forth, and you'll really mess this up. So leave the pineapple twist off the face of the anvil while you do this. Now, if we're close, this should shear even though it's very cold. That it doesn't seem to be shearing. So we'll get it hot again. It's close though. You can actually see in there where it's separating, just not quite perfectly. Now we should be able to punch this through into a bolster if we're lucky. And that gives us a hole. And there's our slug. Now that we're through, we can drift this part way. Unfortunately, this gets harder to hold on to. I think we go to the pressure hole. And that drifting will help stretch the hole a little bit. Then we'll forge it out over the horn of the anvil. Just draw draw this out over the horn of the anvil. Because you can't get it all the way up on there, you'll need to go to both sides, work from both directions. As it draws out, you'll be able to do a little bit more from each side. And at this point, you just make this however large a diameter you want. I just don't want the ring portion to be too clunky, so I'm going to take it down just a little bit more. So pay attention to where there's thick spots and try to get those corrected. Either try to round this up or square it up. The stock, I want the ring round, but it can be round with square sides or flat sides or round sides. Not only can I see this better, but the cone mandrel is truly round. It makes it much easier to get a nice round profile on this. And if you tip it up like this, you can work the corners down to kind of give it the square octagon round effect. And be careful not to bend this back and forth too much, especially if it starts to cool off, because you can snap that off right there. You got to be careful on this side because that's where it's thin. And of course, you can do some filing and some work with a die grinder if you need to. And we can drift this. If you can find something to support this without messing up the pineapple twist, you can drift it perfectly round. I'm pretty happy with that. I think a little bit of filing will probably be in order, but... And we may come back after I finish the rest of this, and then I'll have something better to hold on to than tongs, and that helps as well. But you get the idea what I'm going for. Trying to straighten the ring back up. And if it's twisted, I'll deal with that at the end, because it does look like it's not in line anymore. But I want to make sure I get this drawn out first, because it may twist the other way when I do that. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put another fuller mark right here. The same tool, but this time I'm going to just leave it square. I'm only going to go to about 5/8 square cross section here. And more there. Yeah, I ended up a little bit small, but we'll be okay. Looks like it's a hair over a half, but not quite as big as 5/8. So, what is that, 15 millimeters or something like that for the metric folks. Yep. I just hit my twist, which is something I don't want to do. There's going to be some straightening up to do. You have to be very careful. With a rawhide mallet on a wood block, we can do a lot of that. Right now, I'm just getting this ready to draw out, and we'll draw it out of the power hammer. So I just want a nice transition so I don't have to get this twist anywhere near the power hammer dies. I'll be able to work right up to about where the edge of the anvil is here. This is starting to get a little wonky, so all that'll be a rawhide mallet and a wood stump fix so we don't mess up the pineapple twist. So let's turn this around and then just heat up this much of it to draw out under the power hammer. Now this part will then become the poker end. We'll split it. I think it's way too much material though, so this is getting kind of long. I don't know how long it is, but just seemed longer than I wanted it to be, so I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the end of this off and then repoint it. Just doesn't have to be some great big massive hook on there, unless that's what you want. Just draw that out to nice taper. And then we will split it with a chisel. By the way, this is the S7 hot chisel we made just a few weeks ago. Next thing we're going to do is a little hot rasping to get rid of this ragged edge here. Open it up a little bit so you get a file in there. I'm just using an old, worn out, coarse half round file, at least to get down into here. These upper areas go better with an old farrier's rasp. It's okay to go both directions. You're cutting hot material with a worn out rasp. I've been using this one for about 20 years. But if it cools off too much, get it hot again. And I don't think we'll need to. And that gets rid of all that rag from chisel cutting. Now we can clean that up at the anvil. Just draw these out to the shape you want. I don't think they need to be too fine or too sharp a point. It just risks bending things. So I'm pretty happy with that one. You need to clean this section up and do anything you're going to do to it before you bend that hook. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a chamfer on this just to make it more comfortable. And then we can go ahead and bend the hook. Try and keep them in the same line as the poker is. Then it's just a matter of whatever you want for your poker end to look like. I kind of like that little recurve, and you just add some grace to it. So that's the poker end. I'm going to finish this chamfer all the way up and even up some of the little fat spots that I didn't quite get right under the power hammer. Now for most of this, it doesn't have to be at a super high heat unless you've got a lot of forging to do, but little straightenings and a little chamfer aren't heavy forging, so and try and make it straight. It looks better straight. And again, some of the straightening can be done cold. Now I'm going to let the poker in cool off so I can turn around and clean up right next to the handle and then fix any misalignment between our ring and the shaft of the poker. Always some fiddling. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this area right here. Just get that to blend. Now it's a little crooked, and I'll fix that after I'm done with this section here. And I think we're in pretty good shape. This is mostly just a matter of cleaning up some of these transitions. This tapers from a little bit bigger than a 1/2 inch or a little bigger than 13 millimeters at the top end here, down to about 3/8 of an inch. It's at about 10 millimeters, I guess. You guys are starting to get me to think in metric. That's kind of scary. The thinking part. So the next thing to do is going to be to just straighten this and get everything in line. I'm going to put that in the vise. First thing I want to do is just stand this up a little straighter. As long as you're gentle, you can get away with some of this. But then I noticed that the transition between the pineapple twist and the square bar are not square. So that's the first thing I'm going to square up. Don't go too far doing that kind of thing, because it would be real easy to accidentally shear this off. Next thing I want to do is I want to straighten this. I'd actually like it this way. I got it almost 90 degrees off. So I'm only going to heat this much of it to do that. Now, because the cross section of this ring is so much smaller than the cross section of the twist, I'm pretty comfortable just doing it this way and getting it straight. And because this was rounded up, that shouldn't show. Just a last little straightening. Now, if there's anything here that needs to be filed or ground or whatever, do that and then deal with some of this other stuff. But I'm pretty happy with this. Give it a good wire brushing. And then we'll put a little paste wax on it. I did take a minute there between heats and put my touch mark on there. And I don't like to quench things like this, especially from a red heat. because all these cracks and shoulders and everything can still stress and they can still crack even though it's mild steel and will not actually harden. It can still have a stress issue, so I'm going to let it cool at least down to a black heat before I quench it, but I don't want to cool it too much. I still want to put some wax on it. Well, that's it for our poker. We've turned our diamond twist into a very nice, elegant poker with a punched and drawn out ring at the top. The pineapple twist makes a really nice handle for this. It isn't so sharp and bumpy that it's uncomfortable to hold on to, especially for a poker. Then we have a shaft for the poker that tapers and gets thinner from the handle down to the point. The point was split out so there was no forge welding. The entire thing is out of one piece with no extra pieces added. There's no forge welding, no arc welding, nothing like this. And at this point, there has been no grinding. If you need to do a little grinding to clean up the rag on the point or clean up the ring or something like that, no reason you shouldn't be able to do that. Just go ahead and do what you got to do. Get a die grinder or file in here if you need to clean that up. And I may still do some of this. It's been waxed. It's ready to go. But as I look at it, I may decide that I'd like it to be a little bit cleaner, a little bit more perfect, either here or check for sharp spots down here. I can find just a little bit of that rag from the chisel cut still there, so I may go ahead and file that before I put this up for sale somewhere. But it'll probably end up on the Etsy shop sometime in the next few weeks. Now, if you want to see the glamour shot or the close-up of this all finished in wax, you got to wait till the very end of the video. It's the absolute last thing I do on most of these videos. If you're somebody that has been wondering why I don't show close-ups, you're probably not watching the whole video. You're skipping out about now because you don't want to listen to me talk anymore, but you got to wait another 15, 20, 30 seconds so you can see this. But with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't done so already, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button down there. Feel free to stick around, watch a few of the other videos, share the videos with your friends, but then make time in your day to get out to your shop, make something, but stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next one.